Alright, so in this video we're going to talk about how to decode the Nihilist cipher. So the Nihilist cipher is one of the ciphers tested on the Codebusters Science Olympiad exam, and there are actually two different types of Nihilist ciphers. One of them is decoding it, and another one is the cryptanalysis, which is much more difficult. The decode Nihilist cipher is usually one of the easier ciphers, and it's a matter of who can solve them more quicker between the top teams. So in the Nihilist cipher, decoding Nihilist cipher, there are 4 steps. The first one is filling out the Polybius square from the Polybius key. The second one is converting the encoding key to numbers using the square. The third is subtracting the encoding key from the ciphertext. And the fourth one is converting the results back to letters using the square. I'm going to show you 2 examples later, so this will make much more sense. But first things first, you might be asking, what the heck is a Polybius square? So right here, what I have below is what a Polybius square is. And it's basically a 5 by 5 square. We only care about this 5 by 5 area, right? And what we're going to do is they give us something called a Polybius keyword, right? And for example, let's make our Polybius keyword science, for example. Okay, and the thing about this is you start from the top left corner, so which is you start from here, and you move from left to right. And what you do is you fill out this Polybius keyword into in this order, but you use each letter of the keyword once. So what I mean by this is that you don't repeat letters. So if I have the word science, right, in the first top left, we'll go S. The second, we'll go C, then I, then E, then N. And then the next letter is a C. However, we already have a C inside written down, so we do not write a C in the next spot. Same thing for the E. Notice how we already have an E right here, so we do not write an E in the next spot. Another thing about the Polybius square is that the I and the J occupy the same square. So in this case, we have I in the spot 1, 3, 1, 3, and then the J also occupies the same square. What I like to do is to not be confused later. I like to write I/J in this spot. Although it's mandatory, I mean it's not mandatory, it's optional. You just have to remember in your head that J occupies the same square. And then once you do this, what you do is you fill out the rest of the squares in alphabetical order, starting from A to Z, but you skip the letters that have already been used. So we see A hasn't been used, then B. C already has been used, so we do not write C, we skip C. We go to D, then E has been used, so we write F, G, H. I has been used, and remember I and J share the same squares, so we skip both of them. I, J, then K, L, M. N has already been used right here, so we skip N. Then we go O, P, Q, R. S has already been used, so we skip that. S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. And that is how we fill out the Polybius square. All right, so now we're going to go through an example of how to solve a Nihilist cipher. So let me just pull out the problem here. All right, so in this question, we're asked to decode this Nihilist cipher with the keyword of rain and the Polybius key of shine. Like I said before, the first thing we should always do is fill out the square. So we see the Polybius key of shine. What we're going to do is start filling out the keyword in the top left, starting from the top left corner. So we have S, then H, then I, then N, then E. There's no repeats in the keyword in the Polybius key, so we don't skip any letters. And now we start filling it alphabetical order. We go A, B, C, D. We skip E because it's already been used. F, G. H has already been used, so we skip that. I and J, remember I and J share the same square, so we skip both of those. K, L, M. We skip N because it's already been used. O, P, Q, R. S has already been used, so we skip that. T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. So now we have filled out the Polybius square, and now we get to solving the rest of the cipher. We are given the keyword rain. So we know the keyword is rain. And what we want to do is first converting, actually, we first have to convert rain into numbers. So we have the keyword rain. And then we want to find the corresponding letter in the Polybius square and convert it into a number. The first the number is always a 2-digit number, and the first tens digit comes from this side, and the second ones digit comes from this side. So what I mean, basically, is let's say we take the letter R, right? The letter R is right here, right? This would correspond to the letter number 43. So we start from the this left side, and then the ones digit is on the top. So R corresponds to 43. So R corresponds to 43. Now for A, right? A, remember we start from the left and then go to the top. So what would A be? It would be 21. And then for I, it will be 13. Again, 1, then 3, so it makes 13. Then N, where's N? It was right here, so it'll be 1, 4, 14. It'll be 14. So this is what our keyword is converted into numbers. And what we do is we write the keyword in order onto the ciphertext. So what I mean by this is we go rain, and then once the keyword ends, we go rain again, then rain, then rain, then rain, and then keep on going. And what you do is you take the number from the ciphertext, in this case it would be 97, and then you subtract the number of the keyword. So we have the number 97 in the ciphertext, and our keyword letter is R, which corresponds to 43. If we subtract that, we get 54, and we look back to the Polybius square. 54 corresponds to Y. So Y is going to be our first letter in our answer. So Y is our first letter in our answer. Now we repeat the same process. So the next one is going to be A. A corresponds to 21. If we subtract them, we get 35. And again, we look at the Polybius square. We see 35 corresponds to the letter O. So our next letter is going to be O. And we keep on doing this, right? So we have 13 as I. So we go 58 minus 13, which gives us 45. We see in the Polybius square, this corresponds to the letter U. So what we do is we write U as our next ciphertext. U as our next letter in our answer. And finally, we have N is equal to 14. And what we do is do 37 minus 14, which gives us 23. And 23 corresponds to the letter C. All right, now we just keep on doing this over and over again. This is all the cipher is. So we have the next letter is R, which is 64. And that, R is 43, and we subtract that from 64. So we do 64 minus 43. That gives us 21, which is A. And then, again, I'll just explain one more example. We have the keyword, or the key letter, which is A. And what we do is 65 minus what the number corresponding to A, 21. So 65 minus 21, that gives 44. And that corresponds to the letter T in the Polybius square. So now for the next part for the rest of the answer, I'm going to show you how you can do it if you are used to doing this question. So instead of writing it all like rain, 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 what I like to do is write the numbers corresponding to the keyword down here. So 43, 21, 13, 14, right? And I like to drag my left hand onto the corresponding keyword as I do the subtraction in my head, right? So the next letter is going to be corresponding to this number since it's an I, right? I just do 36 minus 13 in my head, and I get 23, and I see 23 corresponds to the letter C, so I write that. Then I shift my left finger to this one, so I can keep track of what letter of the keyword I'm on with my left hand while I do solving the cipher with my right hand. So again, we can erase all of this. We are on, my left hand is on here right now because that is the cipher, that is the part of the keyword that we're on. So what we do is 26 minus 14, that gives us 12. So 12 corresponds to H, we write H. Then I shift my left hand to this one, to 43. And I just do 77 minus 43, and that gives us 34, which is M. So now I'm just going to do it full speed. So I get O, R, E, F, L, I, E, S, W, I, T, H, Okay, so using that strategy, we're able to solve this cipher. And remember to always separate your words so that a grader can grade it easier, and make sure you don't lose any points. So the final answer for the cipher will be, you catch more flies with honey than violins. All right, so this is our second worked out example of the nihilist substitution cipher decode. So we're given a decode nihilist cipher, and we're given a Polybius key of happiness and a keyword of life. So as always, to solve the cipher, we start with the Polybius square and the Polybius key of happiness. So we start in the top left corner, H, A, P. Then we skip the next letter, P, because it's already inside the square. So we go directly to I, N, E, S, and then we skip the next letter of the keyword because it's another S and it's already in the square. Now we go from A to Z in alphabetical order. So we skip A because it's already in the keyword. B, C, D. We skip E, F, G. We skip H, I, and J. Remember, I and J occupy the same square. So if in this case, it's supposed to be I/J. I just wrote it as I because it's a lot easier to write. But you have to remember that they occupy the same square, and you should always skip them if they're both, or if I is in the keyword, or J is in the keyword. So G, H, I, J, then K, L, M, skip N, O, we skip P because it's already in the square, Q, R, we skip S because it's already in the key, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. So now we fill out the square, and now we go to solving the rest of the cipher. As with the shortcut I mentioned before, we're going to use that here. So we have the keyword of life, and we're going to write it in the bottom left corner for our left hand to follow. So L corresponds to 34. Remember, we start with the left side, and then we go to the top. So L corresponds to 34, 3, 4. So we write down here, 34. Then we go to I, which is the next letter. I corresponds to 1, 4, which is 14. Then we go to F, which corresponds to 31. Then E, which corresponds to 21. So this is our keyword life. And what we do is we put our left index finger onto 34. And then, because we always have to start with the first letter, and we take the first ciphertext, 88, and subtract 34 from that. So we do 88 minus 34. That gives us 54, which corresponds to 5, 4, the letter Y. So our first ciphertext, or our first answer letter, is going to be Y. Now from here, we shift our left index finger to 14, so to keep track of what letter of the keyword we're on. Then we do 55 minus 14, which gives us 41, which on the Polybius square corresponds to an O. So O. Then again, we shift our left index finger to the right, which is onto 31. So my left index finger is on 31 right now. And I do 76, which is right here, the next letter, or the next ciphertext, minus 31. And that gives us 45, which corresponds to the letter U. So U. Then finally, we shift our left index finger to 21 to keep track of the keyword again. Then we do 45 minus 21, which gives us 24, which corresponds to C. And now once we're finished with the keyword, we go back to 34. So we keep on repeating this process. That's why the cipher is pretty simple, because it's sort of a procedural method to solve it. So full speed, what it will look like if I solve a full speed, it will be, okay, so I start, my left index finger is on 34. I do 46 minus 34, that gives 12, which corresponds to A. Then my left index finger is now on 14, and you keep on going. So it goes to N, W, A, S. At this point, I'm just going to be solving the rest of the cipher. What I recommend you doing is pausing the video in between each letter I do and see if you can solve the letter yourself. And that way you can get some extra practice in. I do have one more helpful tip in about like 30 seconds or so, I think, in this recording. But after that, it's just me doing the rest of the cipher. So if you want to click off the video and do some extra problems yourself, that would probably be more beneficial. Or you can watch me go through this whole cipher. One also thing you can do is once you get used to solving these ciphers is you can predict certain words that can be formed. So I said, I see you can waste your lives draw with the I. I think that this might be drawing. So what I can do is I can fill out drawing and then test out certain words. So I can test out this letter just to be sure. And what that gives is, remember to follow, with your left index finger, follow the ciphertext and follow the patterns. So this will be with 31. 63 minus 31 is 32, so that's a G. So this is probably right. Drawing is probably right. And we keep on going from there. So we do 55 minus 21, 34, which gives us L, and then we can keep on going. Okay, yes, so that looks right. So now we solved the cipher, and just like we did in the last question, we shall always divide our words. So this gives, you can waste your lives drawing lines, or you can live your life crossing them. So that is the answer to this nihilist cipher. I hope this helped with understanding how to solve them. As always, the one thing about Codebusters is to always practice, and then you can get faster from there. And I wish you the best of luck on tryouts for Codebusters.